Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. The Queen's jam or bilberry raspberry jam is a common jam in Finland and Sweden, and one particular item where I saw it being used last time I was in Finland was inside these sweet buns. So they are kind of like cinnamon rolls, but instead of cinnamon they have the jam inside. I thought that was a great idea, so I wanted to recreate that. So here I made these buns that have the cardamom bun like you typically find in Finland, and then there's a filling of bilberry and raspberry jam. So join me and I'll show you how to make these Finnish buns. I have here 5 deciliters of milk that I warmed up to just a little above body temperature, about 42 Celsius, just because I'm using dry yeast. And then I have 1 kilogram and 50 grams of bread flour. I have 200 grams of butter that I melted. The butter is salted. The little amount of salt that's in the butter, it won't make a difference. And then I have 2 deciliters of sugar, a tablespoon of vanilla sugar, 1 egg, 20 grams of instant yeast. 20 grams is a lot of yeast, but there's a lot of butter in this dough too, so it's very rich, very heavy enriched dough, so it's going to require a lot of yeast to really rise up. And then I have a teaspoon and half of salt, and also I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of cardamom. So let's get our yeast started first. I'm just going to put the sugar and the milk in my bowl over here. I'm going to give it a quick mix just to dissolve that sugar in. And in goes the yeast. And we'll just wait a little bit to make sure that the yeast is alive. While my yeast is getting started, I'm just gonna grind up a little bit of this cardamom. These are whole seeds, so I want to crush them up just a little bit. I'm just gonna go the old-fashioned way, gonna use a mortar and pestle. Now that I can see that my yeast is starting to bubble up, so it's alive, in goes the cardamom and the egg. And the salt. Let's whisk them up just a little. And let's start adding our flour. Just a little bit at a time. We're going to keep whisking it. And once there's too much flour in here that you cannot whisk it by hand, we're going to switch over to the machine. And we're going to knead this for about 10 minutes. After that, we're going to add the butter. Okay, and now we're going to add the butter. And we're going to keep mixing it for another 5 minutes or so. Alright, now the dough is ready. Just gonna give it a couple of hand kneads. And we're gonna let this rise until it's about doubled. Alright. For the filling, I'm gonna use this Queen's jam that I got from IKEA, but my jar is it's almost done, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of my own. I have here some blueberry jam and some raspberry. This one's fruit spread. I'm just going to mix them together about equal amounts to make my own jam. So first let's empty out all of the IKEA one. Yeah, that's definitely not going to do it. There we go. right, so our filling is now ready. And now our dough has been proofing. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna roll this out into a large square. Actually, let me cut this in half. This is very large. There we go. And now this I'm gonna roll into a square, rectangle rather. Let's try to make it as rectangle as possible. That'll help make the little buns even size. All right, now we're gonna add our filling. Because we still have another piece of dough here. And we're gonna fill it edge to edge. And now we're gonna roll this into a big roll. There we go. There we go. And then we're gonna cut off our buns and place them on our baking sheet. So for the second batch, let me not fill it quite edge to edge. So maybe I can reduce a little bit of that oozing of the jam. Okay, and let's roll it up. And also, let's use a knife this time to cut it. Yeah, that seems to work out maybe a little better. Let's see. Okay, let's cover this up and we're gonna let these proof for another 45 minutes. So now the buns have proofed once more. So what I'm gonna do is just brush them with a little egg wash. And also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little slit on each one. And now I'll sprinkle on some pearled sugar. And these are going to go into 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 Celsius oven for about 15 minutes or so. Okay, our buns are now ready. And they came out looking pretty nice. I probably could have made the dough just a little bit thinner. But other than that, they are actually looking pretty nice. I gotta let these cool down for just a little bit before I have a taste because the filling is gonna be super hot at this point. All right, let's taste one of these. It did take a little bit longer than 15 minutes to cook them. I would say more close to 30 minutes just because they were so big. I probably could have reduced the amount of flour for maybe about 50 grams. Make it an even kilo, maybe even slightly less. But then again, I was using bread flour. With all-purpose flour, you could probably go a little bit higher. But it has that cardamom taste, and then let's get a little bit of that filling. It's still hot. The blueberry raspberry filling gives it a nice tartness, which contrasts nicely with the sweetness of the bun. Either way, these are classic Finnish sweet buns. So go ahead and make them, and I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.